Hello, everyone. We are Illusion Filmworks. My name is Zach.
I'm Kennon.
And I'm Mark.
I don't know why I looked at you. I didn't know what my name was.
Because he's waiting for his cue.
Anyways.
And we are here for the first episode of a new weekly YouTube series that we are calling I've Seen That Movie Too.
Wait, hang on. What is it?
I've Seen That Movie Too.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Therefore.
Basically, everyone who's ever gone to a movie has usually at some point in time walked out of it and said, you know what? I think I've seen that before.
Yeah,
Whether it's a plot point or characters or situations or something just made you stop and say, wait, I know I've seen that before.
Right.
So we're going to take each week 2 movies that are similarly related, be plots, characters, themes, genres, something like that, and then compare and contrast these 2 movies to see which movie does it better, which movie has good merits, maybe they both have some, maybe they both don't have some. So we're going to take a look at that, and to start us off this week, we are going to do Tremors versus Jaws.
I think it's really Jaws versus Tremors.
Oh, we're starting it off.
Yeah.
That's right. It's land shark versus
Sea shark.
A shark. A sea shark.
But that's not a land worm. It's a worm.
It's kind of a worm, like
a shark.
We'll get into it.
Sorry, starting off terrible.
No. So, this is I have seen that movie before, Jaws versus Tremors.
Okay, let's write down which one we thought was the better movie.
All right.
So, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so obviously we thought Jaws was the better
Jaws,
movie.
man.
This is going to be
Jaws.
interesting.
This, it shall indeed.
So what made you like Tremors?
A bunch of things, actually. I really just like it's just overall, it flows a little bit better. It has, I think, a few more interesting characters. I love the creature designs in it, and I guess those are points that we'll break down each individually. But overall, I think it's just a fun, it's a simple story, easy to follow. It's familiar enough to a casual audience or to a hardcore fan base of these kind of monster movies. But it's just a simple story that you can pop on a afternoon. You just want to watch something fun and cheesy, and it's a good time.
Yeah, well, I mean, the reason why I like Jaws is just because, like you said, it is easier to follow with Jaws as well. But the thing about, like, when I go to see a movie, like, I go to kind of get lost within that movie. And, like, with Tremors, I really didn't get lost in the movie. Like, I felt like that would never happen. And whenever I feel like that, like, I just fall out of it completely.
It is a lot more... It is a lot more unrealistic, basically, because the creatures in it are not real creatures.
First of all, let's break that down. They're both unrealistic.
Yeah,
true.
That's true.
That's true.
You have as much chance of a shark becoming a serial killer as you do giant worms coming up out of the ground and eating
But
people.
the thing about Jaws is, and I think the reason why both of us like Jaws over Tremors is the fact that it was obviously more cared for as a story. It was more cared for in the story, when they were doing the cinematography and in post-production, because like one thing I really liked is that everybody felt natural in it.
Right.
I mean, there's literally a conversation where you have 3 characters trying to talk over each other, and there 2 of them are trying to argue the same point, and it's plus the fact that we don't even get to see the shark as much helps with the because it helps with the tension.
It does.
Right.
But here's the thing I want to bring up, and that was one of the points I wanted to make about the movie. One of the things that is so praised about Jaws is the idea that you don't show the monster that much. And it's a good cinematic tool, but there's 2 points to it. A, Spielberg didn't invent that technique. You go back to like the 40s, 50s, and you can get that POV. It's not used as much, but Spielberg had the bigger successful movie, which made it more popularized.
Okay.
Second, and this is the most important, is that was not his original artistic vision. Originally, Spielberg wanted to use the shark a lot more. But, and it's probably a well-known fact among movie buffs, that the mechanical shark didn't work. They tried to fix it so many times, and it just broke, and Spielberg eventually said, you know what? Forget it. We'll just shoot it the way we can shoot it. And it worked out so great for him because it makes it that much better. But how much credit can you give someone if their original vision of something is totally different from what came out, and it was just like a happy coincidence?
No, you can give him a lot of credit for that, because the whole thing is he could have shut down production and been like, no, if it's not going to be my way, we're not going to film it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good
but
point,
he
too.
made the decision to go ahead and do it. And I'm sure he was nervous as hell throughout the whole thing.
Probably. It was his first outside of Duel, which was a made-for-TV
this is the
movie.
thing that launched it.
Yeah.
But I will say that is the one thing I did like about Tremors. I like the fact that, the first one, I haven't seen the prequels, the sequels or anything like that.
There was one Tremors prequel, by the way.
Oh, yeah. It was like set in the
West.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
But the reason why I liked it, I liked the concept of them not really being able to see, but being able to feel people off of their vibrations. I thought that was a really cool concept.
They do play with that in the sequel where they can see heat, but that means you can hide your heat from them.
Right.
So like by putting over like a big cloak or like a door frame or something like that, they can't see past it. So well, actually, now that we're talking about creatures, let's talk about the creatures.
Okay.
We have two distinct creatures in Jaws, a slightly larger than life great white
We don't
shark.
have to describe them. People have probably seen these movies.
That's true. 9 times out of
But
10.
it's just the design of Jaws is better because it's the fact of we know what a shark is supposed to look like, and they did a pretty good job of making that shark just look like a bigger white shark.
Except
and
for
then
the
Tremors.
face. The face was kind of a little.
But you don't
I'll
see
give
the face.
you that. I'll give you that.
Mark, you're bailing on me.
I'm not trying to bail, but I see what he's saying. But for me, like I said before, like Jaws, it just did more for me, man. Like it really did more for me.
Like everything was just more well thought out in Jaws.
Right.
Well, they did have a bigger budget and a larger scale. But
hang on, let me double check that.
While you're double checking that, let me point my fact as to why I like
Jaws had a smaller budget.
Really?
Yeah, Jaws. Well, I guess for the time, I don't know because there's 15-year difference between them. Jaws
Yes.
was made in 75.
Right.
And
Tremors was made in 90.
1990.
Right.
Well, it was made in 89, but released in
But the
90.
budget for Jaws was $9 million, and the budget for Tremors was $11 million. I don't know if you need to if there's really an adjust for inflation type thing with that.
Probably, but I'd say by about $1 million or so, maybe. By
So
around $1
yeah, they
million.
still had a bigger budget, and I still feel like Jaws is the better movie.
Right.
Well, let's talk about the creatures. Especially,
Okay.
I think this is more about the graboids than the shark because
That's a horrible name, by the way. Graboids.
The graboid design is one of the best original sci-fi creature designs of all time, and I'll explain why. First of all, it's a very simple design, but it works very effectively. Basically, a giant reptile snake worm, and then
Right.
when it opens it up, it has the mandibles as well as the tongue snakes which come out of it, which is a very simplistic design. They didn't go over budget or overblown with like wings and big slime vats and things like that. Another reason I think is because they decided to make the animatronic puppets. It gives it that feel of, even though it's a little bit unrealistic looking, you're like, I know that was on set. I can reach out and touch that prop.
Yeah.
And that always, even a little bit off topic, even today, I always love when props or animatronics or puppets or even real live animals are used on a movie set because it makes it that much more real.
Right.
So wait a minute. I think I might have
Feels
missed
like a
it there.
creature.
So you're saying that you liked it more because they actually used a real puppet, basically.
Yeah. Yes,
But Jaws
but-
used a real puppet too.
True.
And theirs
Here's
was
the
underwater.
thing. Here's the thing. That puppet,
John,
A, didn't work too well, and B, that face, man.
What's your
That-
issue with Jaws, man?
Here's the thing.
What's your issue with Jaws?
I think he just
I
hates
think-
popular movies. I think that's what it is.
think
It's a classic
I have
now.
an
Well,
idea of
you know.
why I like the Tremors puppet versus the Jaws puppet.
Okay.
Because sharks are real, and we know what they look like.
Okay.
Seeing it a little bit wonky is a little bit off-putting because we know that's not exactly how it looks in real life. I mean, they did try their best, but
They
it
did.
is a little
And it was
bit
1975.
off-putting.
Like we have to think about like the time.
Whereas
where this
with
movie was
not
made.
the
defend him.
graboid, whereas with the graboid, because it's a completely fictionalized character,
Yeah.
you can make it look however you want, and it's like, well, that's just how they look.
Yeah.
That's how they've always been designed to look and function.
We like Jaws.
I like the story, man.
That's exactly where I was going with
Yeah.
that. The story is a lot better because the first half of the movie is man versus man because it's
Right.
Brody, the one guy in the movie, is trying to convince everybody, don't go in the water. There's a shark. He's going to kill everybody.
Right.
Don't do it. So it's man versus man in the first half. And then we feel like we get a good story with that, but it's a little late because he's already killed some people.
Right.
Yeah.
So then the second half is man versus nature.
It
And
literally is. It's a 2-hour
and it changes
movie.
the complete.
And well, it's a 2 hour and 4 minute runtime for Jaws. And literally, I was watching with the time code. It isn't until an hour and like 3 minutes that they get on the boat. The three main characters get on the boat.
That's what I like
out
though.
Looking for
and the reason why
shark.
is because it builds so much anticipation. It builds so much tension when the guy's trying to convince everybody, no, let's shut this down. Like, let's have nobody go to the beach because this shark is out there ready to kill everybody. And it takes a couple people dying and him having to almost lose his own son for him to really be like.
I did
Quint or
enjoy.
Quincy, what's his name? I can't remember.
I don't remember his
He
name.
dies in the end. Like,
He does.
you know, the
Robert
guy
Shaw
who's the
Taylor.
shark.
Right. The shark hunter himself
he
dies in the
dies.
end, which I thought was. I felt like it was deserved, but okay, that's another argument.
I did enjoy.
was a dick, you know what I mean?
If you're talking about the man versus man thing, I will say I did enjoy in Jaws. There was that nice little scene where after the shark attacked on like the 4th of July, where everyone was there, and he like killed the guy in the canoe and almost killed the kids. Right. There was a scene where Brody was yelling at the mayor at the hospital, and the mayor just sort of like really shuts him down. It's like, hey, my kids were on that beach today too.
I do have to say as well, like, the ending for Jaws was great. I mean, like, you had the final confrontation. Like, the shark is charging right at him. The boat's sinking. He's got, like, one shot, and he just nails it, blows the shark to pieces, right? Great ending. Yeah. Tremors kind of fell flat. Because it did the exact same thing.
It
like,
does
with
have
the
a very
dynamite,
similar ending.
No, it's the
end.
exact same thing, man.
pretty much
Like, for the
same
most
thing.
part. They just use
blew it up.
dynamite.
Yeah.
But it was a fairly...
And it just felt kind of flat to me.
It did feel a little bit fat, but I liked the ending for the story because it was a nice setup that the graboids, because they hunt by sound, when they get too loud of a sound, it's basically like flashing a big light in their face and they can't see, which is what propels him over the cliff. They know that the cliff is there. They set off the explosion. The sound drives him too fast, and it pulls over, which causes the creature to fall, which I thought was a fairly clever way to get rid of that solution. You're right. They are very similar endings to each other, but I did think for the story that they were telling, it was an appropriate fit ending, especially when they had established that particular one as like the smart one of the group. Even though they were all kind of smart, that was...
But that's the thing, it relied on what? It relied on 4 monsters, wasn't it? 4 or 3?
It was 4.
4.
Jaws, there was 1.
It was just one monster, just killing everybody. You know
I think that makes it a little bit more terrifying when you've got 4, because in Jaws, you can get away from 1. If it's Tremors, you have 4 things coming after you. It's sort of like in Jurassic Park, Steven Spielberg movie, where you have the 2 velociraptors in the... I'm saying it to sort of like...
But no, I understand. Anyways, yeah, they have
2 velociraptors in the kitchen, which makes it that much more terrifying. It still would have been terrifying if they had been in that kitchen with 1 raptor, but they locked one in the freezer pretty darn quickly. So if it was just 1 raptor, problem solved.
Well, but the thing about Tremors is like you have those like 4 worms, but you have the chance to try to run away because they are on land, and there was that one scene where the guy just stood still and the worm couldn't find him. Right, like with Jaws, like if you're just in the water, that's it.
You know that all goes back to the different creatures' biology and their hunting methods.
Right.
So it's like it's essentially like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. If you don't move, he doesn't see you.
That's true.
So
it's not scientifically accurate.
True, but as far as graboids go, since it's a fake creature, you stop moving, they lose track of you. Whatever, that's fine. That's completely.
Anyways, what I thought was really interesting for Tremors was that Kevin Bacon felt that this film was a career low, stating, I broke down and fell to the sidewalk screaming to my pregnant wife, I can't believe I'm doing a movie about underground worms.
Whoa. Wow.
Kevin Bacon's a dick.
What?
He's a very successful dick.
He is. That being a dick is not a measure of quality of success.
All right, so to pretty much put a cap on it, I wanted to end this with a little bit of a spin. If you had to put yourself in a situation, whether it be Jaws or Tremors, Which one would you?
Oh,
yeah. Which one would you rather be?
I would say I would rather be, as in rather. You think
Like,
would
if
be
you
more
were in the movie.
terrifying?
Yeah, like
to
if
be
you were in the movie, what would you rather
if
deal
you
with?
had to
Jaws
face
or
off against
Tremors?
Jaws, or if you had to face off against the Tremors. Well, they're not the Tremors, but the
Graboids.
Graboids.
The Graboids.
I think the graboid situation would be a lot worse because land is so much more, like when you're actually, I know the sea is a lot bigger than land, but when you're on land, there's usually aren't giant bodies of water around where you can run into, and those things, they don't wait for you. They will get you, and if they don't get you right away, they can wait. Because that's what they do with the guy on the telephone pole. They're just like, you know what, you stay up there if you want. We'll wait. If you die, that's okay. We'll go get something else.
That was a good prop too.
Yeah, that was really
looked
good.
Like that guy
I really did like that part of the movie.
And I think that's another reason why I kind of like Tremors a little bit more, is because it does build that mystery up. Like with Jaws, you kind of know instantly it's a shark. Like you pretty much know what's going to happen. With the Graboids,
it's called Jaws. There's a picture of a shark on the poster. Like they obviously went. They wanted to emulate Jaws just on land, and then that's obvious from the poster because they did the exact same design.
It is kind of obvious from the backstory too, because I was watching the director's interview for the director of Tremors, and he said that the inspiration for Tremors came when he was doing photography work out in the desert, and he was on a big rock like they get into the movie at certain points, and he just wrote a little note on one of his flashcards, and it said, what if there was something keeping me from getting down off of this rock? And he, at the bottom of it, wrote like land shark.
Technical standpoint.
And if I had to pick enjoyment level, which one I enjoy more viewing, I'm going to go with Tremors. And if that is the case, for me, that makes it a better movie because I enjoy it more. I want to spend time with it more. I'm invested in. Again, I am a Tremors fan. You want to make that.
No, I mean, like, I know I'm
Tremors
not
fandom, but it's a movie that I just feel hits so many buttons personally that it elevates an okay movie to a really great movie that I'm going to continuously enjoy over and over and over again.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Tremors is a movie you don't have to think about. Like with Jaws, you really kind of have to pay attention. You have to think about it to understand what's going on.
Right.
And I totally get you when you say you want to throw in a movie.
Really? Like you have to think to know what's happening?
Well, you have to pay attention. Like you don't have to pay attention in Tremors to understand what's going on because like you wait 5 minutes, another character dies.
Right.
You like in Tremors,
you do get it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and then it's the same. It becomes the same thing over and over again, where it's just like, oh, they keep getting knocked to the ground. Oh, now they're in a car. Oh, now they're on boulders, and then they have nowhere else to go.
Right.
And it's just convenient that guy happened to carry dynamite.
Yeah.
But he is. But it does fit with his character.
It does fit with his character, but it's kind of like a Deus Ex Machina.
Right.
I wouldn't say.
Maybe it's not that bad.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's not like Eagles.
That's true.
Just fly eagles there back and forth the whole time. But I think.
Well, I mean, you said a point earlier where you said that there were certain things in Tremors that you felt like was funny and you felt like it was relatable. But there was also that scene that Kennon actually spoke about earlier where the guys are arguing and trying to figure out what to do, but they're talking over each other.
Oh, you're talking about in Jaws?
Right, in Jaws. And for me, that's relatable because I've had so many conversations.
Because they're trying to convince the mayor.
Right, to not do. Right,
but it makes sense too. Like, I'm not to.
No, it's
all
okay.
over your
No,
point,
it's fine.
But like, it makes sense too because it's more believable because everybody has their own goal.
Right.
They have their own goal they're trying to do because the mayor wants to have the town profitable.
Right.
I can relate to that because I want more money in life.
Right.
But at the same time, Brody and is his name Matt? God, I can't remember his name.
I want to say
it starts with the Matt. It is Matt
Hooper, I think was his name. Hooper.
Brody
they just
and
called
Hooper.
him Hooper. For the most part.
But Brody and Hooper are trying to convince the mayor, hey, don't go in the water. Something's killing it.
Right.
You think you caught the shark. You didn't catch the shark.
Right.
Like, they're trying to save lives. And it's like, you know, obviously the mayor was wrong in that situation.
Very
he was
wrong.
trying to do what was right.
Right.
And those are the greatest villains.
Right.
The greatest villains are the characters that are trying to do what's right.
You know, we've all had that moment where even us, like when we're talking about our next project that we want to do, we've all had that moment where we're talking over each other and we're saying, "Hey, no, we should do this, we should do this." Maybe not as, you know, as aggressive as they were, but it happens, and for me that's relatable. So that's
it
why
was
I like
good
it
acting is what it was. It was great acting, great directing. But to go back to your point where you're talking about, you know, when I was a kid, because you throw in Tremors because you like it, you enjoy it, if you had the choice between watching Tremors and Jaws again, you would choose Tremors.
Right.
For me personally, I loved Tremors as a kid because I actually did watch it. I don't think I watched it when it came out, but I watched it plenty of times when it was on VHS.
Well, it came out in 1990. So
but I don't think I saw it in theaters.
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, which is what I'm saying. But I saw it like on TV because they played it a lot on TV. Yeah. I saw it. We got it from Blockbuster when that was a thing.
Right.
It was a thing.
It was
back in the day.
Back in the day. But my point is that as a kid, yeah, I would have chose Tremors. You know, because it's fun. You see the monster. There's a lot more.
There's a lot more action in
there.
Tremors.
There is, and it's a lot more satisfying action
Right.
versus because there's action in Jaws, but it quickly dissipates.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a slow burner.
It
As
really
a movie,
is.
Jaws is a slow burner.
But I think as an adult, you enjoy that
Exactly.
more. You enjoy the slow burner more. I mean, for me personally, that's how I feel. You know, but I agree. Like when I was a kid, if I was a kid now, I would probably choose Tremors over Jaws. But you know.
But now as an adult, I like the pacing of Jaws. I like that it got me into the story.
Yeah.
And then you sit and you watch Tremors, and it is an enjoyable film.
Yeah, it is.
But it's not on the same level as Jaws, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I mean, like if I had to choose between the two movies that I would watch again, I'd probably watch Tremors again because it doesn't require me to focus that much on it.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm endorsing it.
Right.
That doesn't mean I'm
It
endorsing
sounded like it, bro. I thought you were switching sides on me for
I'm
a
not
second.
switching sides because this is the opinion of which is the better movie.
Right.
Just because I want to watch another movie that I don't think is better doesn't mean it's better.
That's
you know what
true.
I mean? It's just
Yeah.
because I want to watch it because I may have found it so bad it's good.
Right,
You know,
right,
like
right,
The
right.
Room or like Birdemic.
Yeah,
You know, or
yeah.
movies like that. They're so bad they're good.
Yeah.
And then you see other stuff on, you know, multiple viewings.
Right.
Versus Jaws, I still think is the better of the two films.
Right.
So, I mean, that's my point.
Yeah, it's a good point.
You put the arrow in the wrong
I
direction.
know.
Well, that's
You wanna
all we
flip
got,
it so
guys.
they
No.
can see?
No.
The board says Tremors guy,
and
but
it
when
has
he
an
was going to
arrow.
turn it around, it's pointed that way to nobody, which I guess is pretty accurate.
Forget you.
And on that note, if you have any, I lost my train of thought.
If you have any comments, or
Yeah.
if you want to suggest more movies for
Right.
us
Would
to
you
watch
like
and
me to
compare.
handle this, Mark?
Sure, why not? Go ahead.
So that was our debate on Tremors versus Jaws. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I did
it was
too,
good.
yeah.
I don't think we changed any minds amongst
No,
us.
No, not at all.
But it was a fun sort of debate. So what about you at home? Do you agree with me? Do you agree with Mark and Kennon? What's your
Pretty
opinion?
sure they agree with me. I'm just
Stop
playing.
trying to butter the audience. So please let us know in the comments section. Is there any kind of movie that you would suggest that we view in the future? Let us know in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I've been Zach.
You've been Zach?
I have been Zach and will be Zach.
I'm Kennon.
And I'm Mark.
Thank you for watching. I've seen that movie too. We'll see you next time.